BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, I'm Alasdair Lamont. This is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Monday the 3rd of February. And there's been no shortage of talking points.
Jota slides it home! The traditional right fist raised in front of the Celtic supporters in celebration. Jota is back!
Returning hero Jota seals victory for Celtic over Motherwell. And another recent returnee, this time from injury, was in action at Ibrox.
Here's Hadji, left-footed delivery, into the box, header low, and then it's turned into the back post by John Suter. Rangers have scored.
John Suter among the goals as Rangers ease past Ross County. And on Saturday, Hearts came up trumps against Dundee.
Bang! 6-0! 6-0 to Hearts. Unbelievable stuff. It's brilliant. Dundee are all over the place.
Aberdeen's dismal run continues, and it's a St Johnstone miracle on the cards.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
Plenty to discuss over the course of the weekend's games with my guests today. We've got Stephen McGinn alongside us. Stephen, how are you? Have you enjoyed the weekend's football action?
Yeah, it's been really good. A lot of big results, a lot of good goals, some significant impact from some of the January transfer windows. Kabunga at Hearts, noticeable, and obviously the emotional return of Jota today.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with us, Ray Bradshaw. Ray, how did the Jags fare over the course of this weekend?
It's funny you say, did you enjoy it? No. We missed a penalty. We nearly lost. We scored a last-minute winner and then, equaliser. It's just not enjoyable being a Thistle fan just now. There's a lot of animosity around the club. And it's like back in the day when Stephen used to play for numerous clubs and all the fans hated him. That's kind of how it feels like at Thistle just now.
Well, plenty to discuss, as I say. But you mentioned it, Stephen, the headlines in the Monday morning newspapers, you imagine, will be about Jota after that late goal, late cameo, really, wasn't it? He came on in the second half. And he got pretty emotional. But it's like quite a remarkable kind of comeback, isn't it?
Yeah, first and foremost, I couldn't believe how sharp he was for the limited football he's played since he left. I thought he looked really on the front foot. I thought he looked what we would remember. I think that would be the most pleasing thing for Brendan Rodgers. Take away the side from sealing the game. You know, I thought it was good to see when he broke down. You relate to situations that happened to me for a while where I was frozen out at Sheffield United training with kids, and I remember scoring for Dundee against Aberdeen, and you just look up and you've shared a lot of kind of the really tough bits with your family, and I remember looking up to them and it kind of had a lump in my throat doing that, you know, the release of scoring the goal and the hell that I'd went through, and you think Jota signed for 25 million, then didn't even get registered for the league games. I mean, imagine how tough that would be. He probably made the wrong decision in the summer for whatever reason to go to Rennes, and just that outburst of emotion.
Got to say, Ray, I mean, it does go down as a kind of remarkable piece of business by Celtic, doesn't it? Like, you know, to get a player of that quality back for, about £15 million less than you sold him for?
Yeah, it's kind of what I would do in Champ Manager as a cheat code to try furnish my way to get Thistle into the Champions League. I liked it. Like Stephen will know, we've spoken about this before. I love seeing footballers show their human side, and see when you see Jota, I mean, playing with Dyson Maeda, though, you're going to get numerous tap-ins like that. But seeing that emotion from him, and I think it goes down to, I've spoken about it a lot and off the ball and stuff like that. I think there's certain footballers that fit in with certain clubs. So, like Chris Erskine's a good example. He had 5 spells at Thistle, but when he went anywhere else, it never really clicked as much. And it seems like Jota's got that feeling of, oh, I'm back, they love me. And Stephen, that's funny. I never thought of this when you said it was probably him looking at his family, and that's what made him emotional. It was more, for me, I thought, the Celtic fans are singing his name. He's had a rubbish time, albeit he's a multi-millionaire since the last time he was here. But it just shows that money isn't everything. Sometimes scoring a 94th minute goal against Motherwell is what makes you happy.
No, totally. I thought Adam Ida had a pretty good game, Stephen. Obviously, he got those 2 goals against Villa in midweek, and that seems to have really lifted his confidence. And I thought, obviously, got what turned out to be a pretty pivotal goal at Fir Park, but just generally his all-round play, he contributed a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought he was excellent. I thought he was, goals aside as well, I thought he was much more like what we saw on loan down at Villa Park. And it's just funny, that little spell where he was playing, not scoring, and you wonder, looking in hindsight, you see, he looked at that thinking, no matter what I do, Kyogo's the main man. Has Kyogo leaving just gave him that kick up the backside to really go on and grab it by the scruff of the neck, because that's what he has done so far. I mean, 2 games, a lot of goals, but it's just the brightness of his play, it's the strength he's showing, and he's a real focal point when he's playing like that.
Yeah, we've got to mention Callum McGregor as well, Ray, 500 appearances for Celtic. He just represents all that is good about that club, doesn't he?
Yeah, it was funny. I heard Brendan Rodgers chat before the game about how there is a pathway for youth players and they've got to look at Callum McGregor. But that is, he made his debut 10, 12 years ago. You look at Celtic and Rangers bringing on young players in Europe, but not in the league. It seems insanity all around it. But Callum McGregor himself, he's a guy, I don't know if lots of Scottish football fans with this, the first few times I saw him play for Scotland, I was like, what does this guy do? He doesn't really seem to do much. And then slowly but surely you're like, oh no, he's one of the best we've had in ages. And 500 games, 23 trophies. He's been exceptional. And he's got 3-4 years left in a deal. He'll be aiming for that record. He's coming for Packy Bonner's record, I think.
I don't doubt it. Just let you touch on Callum McGregor, Stephen, because you'll appreciate what he's offered over the years.
Yeah, 500 games and just an amazing... I mean, for all the quality, I think the captaincy obviously took him to a new level at Celtic. I think he really embraced the captaincy, but it's just it's achieving it at the age he's done it at. And it's not as if he broke into Celtic at 16. He obviously had to go out on loan, bide his time, played a few different positions. He wasn't an absolute superstar that was just absolutely going to play for Celtic. He has kept improving, and just the availability is just phenomenal. Because, as I said to you, Brendan Rodgers doesn't even have to take him off at 45 or 60 minutes. He's 90 minutes 3 times a week.
How many, Stephen, in your career, how many games did you play? Did you make 500?
Just under 480 or something.
Right, so you hate him. Okay, got it.
What about Motherwell then, Ray? I mean, considering they conceded inside the opening minute, they could have capitulated. They actually kind of rallied and made a game of it. Ultimately, they probably didn't really ever threaten a second equaliser. But I mean, it's been a tough week for them. What do you make of the situation there generally?
I find the whole situation a bit insane, if I'm honest, Alasdair. See, when you look at from the outside, as a team, as a fan of a team who's up and down a lot, Motherwell at the start of this season, the aim would have been 10th or higher. They're sitting in 5th position. Yeah, cup semi-final, and then that St Johnstone loss in the cup was bad, but everything around the club just seemed to change over those 2-3 weeks because there's been Stuart Kettlewell's comments probably inflamed it a little bit. But I think for them, what I find most odd about Motherwell just now is their manager's left and they've still signed 2 extra players this week. All seem to be forward players. There's obviously a plan, but I don't know whether Stevie Frail will be in charge for a little bit more before they bring someone in. It's just a bit odd because for a club like Motherwell, aiming for the top 6 should be ideal and maybe sneak into these European places, and they're perfectly set up to do that when you see other teams in 4th place in absolute freefall.
I think they need to draw a line in the sand. I know it's easy to say, but they have to get a manager in and quickly. I thought they looked like a side that with the week it's been, the game drifted today. It drifted even in that wee period where you think they've lost a goal after a minute, they're still in the game with half an hour to go. There was never really a second win from Motherwell, and I think that comes not having a manager. Obviously, the captain's injured, but they have a massive game in 2 weeks' time against Ross County. I think they need a new manager in. Thought Luke Armstrong looked really bright up front. Thought he worked away and he was a handful. That was a positive from today, but they need a manager in the next couple of days.
And Stephen, see, because they're not in the cup anymore, does that extra week help them? Does that make the players regroup, or what happens in that time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, the club can't plan for Stuart Kettlewell if he's just gone in off the cuff and resigned. But it's a really big squad with a lot of options. I think the quicker a manager can get in, decide this is how we want to play, this is my best team, this is the best way I think we can, because they are drifting. They are drifting. I know there's a lot of chat about 5th and they're so close to this, but they need to get going again and not just let the season drift out, and because that relegation playoff is looming over a lot of teams that are out of form.
I thought it was very admirable. You said they're missing the captain and not my brother. I thought that was a nice touch.
trying to be serious.
Let's turn our attention to the other game on Sunday, a more straightforward one, certainly, for Rangers against Ross County. Again, they've absolutely battered them every time I think they've met them this season. Do you think that Rangers have kind of turned a corner after another pretty rocky spell for Philippe Clement a few weeks back, Ray? But so the European results have kind of helped as well.
Yeah, I think with Rangers, you never know what you're going to get, because you can say they've turned a corner, but their home form's been incredible all season. I think they've only dropped points to Dundee United. They seem like they're kind of bringing some more players in. Eagleman coming onto a game. Little things like not having Hadji registered in Europe, so he's fresh and fit to play. Nsiala coming in. It seems like they're getting there, but I always think with the Clement Rangers side that they are one bad performance away from things turning again. It always feels that way.
Yeah, that for me, Al. Okay, he's ridden another storm for Philippe Clement. He's hung in. Some of the results have been really impressive. Performances have been good. But we don't have to wait very long to see if the corner's been turned. Next 3 away games: Hearts, Kilmarnock, Celtic. As hard as you can get in the league. So we won't have to wait very long to find out if they are moving forward.
As for Ross County, with results around about them kind of going against them today, as you mentioned it earlier on, Stephen, they've got Motherwell in their next match. It's vital for them, isn't it, to kind of get back on track from that point on?
Yeah, it's you get to that stage now. Obviously, all games important, and in a league so small, the head-to-head games are so crucial. But you just feel that one. With the way both teams, where they're sitting in the league and with the teams below starting to really put results together, it's an absolute must not lose. I always hate to think this is a must win, because once you get into the split, that's when it's absolute must win in certain situations, but it's a must not lose for both teams.
Okay, let's look back at Saturday's fixtures, and I think there's only one place to start. I honestly couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the final score coming in from Dens Park. Ray, 6-0 for Hearts, with Elton Kabangu getting a couple of those. He's looking quite exciting, but I just don't know where that result came from. Do you?
No, it feels like Hearts have been building slightly under Critchley, and the same with David Gray. Both managers were heavily under pressure. Both of them have backed their managers. They've come in. Kabangu, when I saw him play in the Cup, I thought he looked really sharp, and it was his first game, so it's kind of coming in. But it feels like Dundee fans said they were kind of expecting that, because they can only play well for so long before they have a little dip. And Tony Docherty's come out and just said, I'll take the blame for it. But I didn't see a 6-0 coming in. No. It's interesting to see Shankland back amongst the goals. Obviously, the deadline's tonight. There's been rumours of down south, who was it, Preston, a couple other clubs. Rangers were in the BBC gossip column about it yesterday. So him getting back in the goals, it's going to be a fascinating time, because you mentioned Ross County there. They need to bring some players in. I saw managers were chatting about that today. Managers were chatting about that yesterday. So you had Clement saying he needs players in. I think after tonight we'll get an idea of which way everything's going to go.
Yeah. Dundee have got to, they've just got to put that behind them pretty quickly though, Stephen, because they're at Celtic Park on Wednesday. So, I mean, how do you recover from a defeat like that?
Yeah, it's something I spoke about, I thought about yesterday. When we were up at Dens Park for the 3-each game with Celtic, you do your research going into the game, and it was the age of the Dundee team really caught me kind of by surprise. Across the board, 19, 20, 21. Some managers sometimes talk about having a young team and it's full of 25 and 26-year-olds. I mean, Dundee have got a really young team. And I wonder if Tony Dock would potentially approach it differently as he would if maybe had a really experienced team after the game, because with Celtic coming up, you could easily go back to back with a 6, then a 5 or whatever, with the way Celtic are and the firepower they have. So I think it'll be about staying calm. I mean, they've had some really big performances, really big results off the back of the heartache to losing the late Dundee United goal at Dens Park. So I think he's got trust that they'll be able to bounce back, and Tony Doc will not. He'll wish that original game wasn't cancelled now with that right round the corner from a 6-0.
Yeah. We've touched on St Johnstone already in the sense of Ross County. They're now only 5 points behind them after a terrific win for them at Ray against St Mirren.
Yeah, 3 in the bounce. Who saw this coming? It feels like someone at St Johnstone has got that magic lamp and they've got their first wish already, so they're going to be coming. I think there was lots of chat, Sports Sound, people talking about Valakari. Will he last the season? What's going to happen? He keeps playing too many strikers. But I think sometimes managers take a little bit of time to find their groove. So the fact they're on the up, I personally had them written off. I thought they were definitely going down. But that 5-point gap, Motherwell win in a couple of weeks. St Johnstone win their next game. We're down to 2 points with, what would that be, 14, 15 games left of the season, and it's a whole different look. Not just for Ross County, not just for St Johnstone, but those, like Stephen said earlier, those 4 or 5 teams around it. It's going to be interesting. I hope they kind of come back up to make it a bit more exciting.
Yeah. As for St Mirren, Stephen, obviously you kind of know the inner workings of the club well. How will Stephen Robinson be trying to address this kind of poor run there on 5 defeats in the last 6 in the league?
Yeah, I think he'll probably separate. His frustration will be different from maybe putting it like that in terms of a bad run. The season's felt like a season that's had unbelievable highs, unbelievable performances. Even just in the last month or two, winning 3-0 up at Aberdeen, the Rangers game. But it's felt like these games. It's the reason why they're not in the European spots just now. It's these games. It's Motherwell at home. It's Ross County at home. It's St Johnstone at home. It's the games where maybe there's not the grass for Toyisu Olasanya to run into, and it's probably there's maybe not enough goals in behind him when he's not scoring. They've not got the same amount of goals from midfield that they've had in the recent years. Obviously, Conor McMenamin's been a huge miss. Played so little football. But it's just finding a way to break down those teams at home when you're maybe more fancied to win. And if they can sort that out, I think Europe's still there for them.
They were excellent, actually. I did their game up at Pittodrie, and they were terrific in that. But talking of Pittodrie and Aberdeen, another game goes by without a victory. Obviously, they were up against an in-form Hibs team. That one, Ray, kind of went as you would expect, really, didn't it, given the respective form of those two sides?
Yeah, it's becoming quite funny, isn't it? Like, how can you be so good for 13, 14 games? And Aberdeen fans will say they rode their luck. It was a late winner, I think. Kevin Nisbet got against County. So they were saying there were games they were getting wins and stuff like that. But then to go 14 and counting, it does feel like, although they've kind of brought in some signings, this was the first weekend. The Saturday amateur team I play for, there's a lot of Aberdeen fans in it. And it's the first time I've heard them questioning Tulane. That's the first time. And I feel the longer this goes, it's going to be intriguing. But you wonder how bad it can get before they even get down to the bottom half of the table. Because they've not won in 14 and they're still comfortably in the top 6. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's pretty much unprecedented, isn't it, Stephen? I was trying to think of our team who had started a season so well and then gone on such a terrible run. I mean, I just can't. But it's quite incredible. Just to touch on the other game before we finish up of the weekend, which was Kilmarnock beating Dundee United. It was a bit of controversy. Jim Goodwin certainly wasn't happy about the Marley Watkins winner. What was your take on it, Stephen?
I thought it was a goal. I think, in that situation, I think Marley Watkins got the run on the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper is able to reach higher because he can use his hands. I think Marley Watkins just got a run. He's got a brilliant spring. The goal counts for me. I think it's a good goal. Actually, I felt like it was a type of night that was just set up for Kilmarnock. The Derek McInnes teams, I think it's been the biggest performances, the best performances. They nights under the lights, home game, big game, must win, and the players delivered for them again.
Yeah, it's never a foul in my opinion, and it's funny. It's one of the things that really annoys me about football is if it happened the other way, both managers would have changed their exact opinions about that. That's exactly it. He wins a goal, and like you said, Jack Walton's about to flap at it, and Marley Watkins just essentially shoulders it in.
Yeah. Before we go, Ray, let's have a quick chat about the top of the Championship.
No, I'm okay. I'm happy to end it here, Al, if you want. I don't mind.
It does look, it's getting very interesting. I'm not sure that Thistle are going to be involved in that title battle, but it looks very much like a three-way fight at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I would say of the games I've seen Thistle play in, either in the flesh or on TV, Livy's the one I think that might push on. When we played Falkirk, they dominated the first game we played them. The second time was alright, whereas Livy just seems to have nullified us each time we've played. They look very comfortable. Ayre's going to be the interesting one. I think they're pushing. I think for Livy, the signing of Macaulay Tate is a big signing. He's looked great for Hearts anytime he's come on. With us, we've been rotten recently and we're still in fourth place. The Championship is that kind of thing where there's definite little sections. So there's 3 teams, then there's us, and then there's a few others. So I think it's going to be Livy, if I were to put money on it just now. Stephen, your old club, I think, I heard you speak last week about Callum Morrison and the effect on the dressing room. I wonder what that will have in the long term, because he was such a big player from last season, hasn't obviously been injured and stuff this season. But when you have that, does that affect your dressing room?
Yeah, well, it's a type of situation. It's not ideal. The manager wouldn't have wanted it. I did think with the structure of the 3 home games, Falkirk going into the next 3 games before Livingston was home to Livy, home to Partick Thistle, home to Ayr. I thought if they can get out of that with 7 out of 9 points, it's really hard to see them not win the league from that position. So, okay, they've lost it, but they've been top of the league for most of the season without beating Livy. Livy's been a really difficult game for them. David Martindale makes it really difficult for them to get the football going, and they really struggled. And I think all eyes now obviously turn to the Scottish Cup, but within the Championship, all eyes turn into Falkirk. What's going to happen with Callum Morrison? Does he stay? Does he go? Do they add anyone in to replace him if he does go? And how do they bounce back from what was a really sore night for them on the television at home to Thistle? For as much as you say aren't in the race, it's still a really tough game.
Yeah, but you see teams like Ayr signing Curtis Main, like they are going for it. That's a huge signing. When we've lost, I think 3 or 4 players this window, we haven't replaced anyone. The Falkirk are going to make moves, and I think the loan window, correct me if I'm wrong, is still open for Championship clubs for another month or so. So if you are in that position, do you gamble and see who you get? And you got to remember, Ayer's got that Scottish Cup money coming in from the game this coming Friday, something that we were out the Cup 2 rounds ago, so we don't have the funds to go for that. So yeah, I just hope all 3 of them lose all their matches, get relegated, and Thistle come in the league. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't think it's possible, but it's worth a shot.
Wishful thinking that, Ray. Well, listen, that's all we've got time for. My thanks to Stephen McGinn and Ray Bradshaw. Thank you for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day. So to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on your phone. Bye for now.
On BBC Sounds. From life aboard a Russian submarine to chairman of Hearts Football Club.
At this stage, he was the hero.
But as his controversial decisions escalated...
They said, we're going to sack George. And I'm going, you can't do this.
How did Vladimir Romanov go from Hearts saviour to a wanted man?
It caused a whole load of chaos and havoc.
Romanov, Tsar of Hearts. Listen now on BBC Sounds.